Strikes is sponsored in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Looks good. Looks good. It's going to go. It's going to go. Candlepin Stars Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Championship Week here at Park Place Lanes in Windham, New Hampshire. As always, so glad to have you with us. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy. And we have reached the finals once again. We're looking for our second qualifier into the Tournament of Champions. Bob Kelly already safely through. And one of our two bowlers today will join him in a pretty interesting matchup shaping up here.
Absolutely. Two great bowlers, a lot at stake, bigger prize money, and, of course, that all-important three-string total determines where they're going to be seated. So a lot riding between both of these bowlers today.
All right, and I suppose it's only fitting after the way the roll-off turned out for this series that we should have these two guys to settle it. So let's meet them right now. First of all, our number 2 seed coming off a win last week from Bow, New Hampshire. That's Dan Brodeur.
Okay, Dan comes in averaging 120, has a high single of 192, roll-off score 662.
And last week, an outstanding 424 to knock off Paul Berger in the semifinals. So today, Dan tries to make it 2 in a row. The guy trying to stop him, our number 1 seed, had a great day on the day of the final roll-off from Framingham, Massachusetts, Paul Willitts.
Okay, Paul also averaging 120, 195 for high single, 457. The stats of both bowlers are almost identical. His roll-off score 689.
All right, $500 to the runner-up today. The big $1,000 check to the winner, and of course, the winner also gets that spot in the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions coming up next spring. We have $130 also in our bonus ball contest later in the show. We may be giving a lot of money away in the next 60 minutes, so stick around. It should be a lot of fun. We'll start this championship match. Dan Brodeur and Paul Willitts right after these words. Oh, we talked a little bit about this last week, this most recent roll-off that was held for this series on Stars and Strikes. Paul Willitts and Dan Brodeur, just by luck of the draw, were bowling with each other through the entire 5 games, and they were only 2 pins apart going into the 5th and final game with Paul Willitts in the lead, and then he came up with a big game in the 5th. And that created the final scores that you see right now, 689, and Paul Willitts takes the number 1 spot. Dan Brodeur with the 662. Dan winning his semifinal match last week against Paul Berger, who was threatening to come all the way up from the bottom of the ladder. And so now, after bowling together for 5 games in the finals, they're going to bowl together for 3 more games, and big money on the line here. Dan Brodeur to start.
He's going to start with the triangle, 2, 4, and 5.
If you're in the final roll-off and you're bowling with a guy who's hot, does that help generally?
I think so. It's like anything else. You know, lifts your game a little, 1 step higher. You know, it's like you and me playing golf with Jeff Twist. You know, lift our game up a little more. I know who lifts our game. Yeah. We only hit in the woods every other shot instead of every shot. Pulls the ball to the left. Yeah, it does help. It keeps both of you going, and you press a little more and concentrate a little more. We'll make it a 9 for Dan.
Jeff Twist, the media relations director for the Boston Celtics. We're going to have to get him up here for a taping. The 1 and the 5.
I don't see that too often.
Somebody's going to tell Jeff now that they heard his name on bowling, and he's going to wonder, whoa, why was that? Oh, those guys were talking about golf again.
Yeah.
Good workout for a 10 box by Dan.
You see the 10?
After you punch out a 1-5, a 10 box is a pretty good score.
Yes.
Well, Paul Willitts couldn't remember the last time that he had finished any place other than 4th or 5th in a final roll-off, either on the singles competition or in skins or going back to the old doubles show, and he's happy to try a different spot. Happy to try the number 1 spot here. And the spare in the first. Paul told me before the show that he seems like he's bowling well lately. He's in a pretty good groove right now, and he starts off with the spare. Last time Paul was here was back in March, and he beat Ed Gerolman by 4 pins before losing to Bob Caleri the next week.
Paul dropped 7, got the 4-7 in the left-hand corner with the 6-pin. Almost a piece of wood out in front. Now it's actually the 3-pin.
Paul Willitts has never made it to the Tournament of Champions. Dan Brodeur has. 9 box for Paul, and he has the early 7-pin lead. Oh, big ball there for Dan Brodeur. Touch them all.
That was a quick one, too. Take a look. Don't blink.
His first mark is a big one. Hold that ball, though. Not a bad break. Could have been a half Worcester.
Park Place a little forgiving once in a while. It's been noted for its scoring.
Boy, we saw some bizarre shots last week in that match between Dan Brodeur and Paul Berger, with balls flying back toward us and all kinds of strange things happening.
8 fill on the strike for Dan.
I think we saw everything but a triple play last week.
And we ran out of time, otherwise we would have seen that. 46 now through 4 for Dan.
Paul Willitts just missing the head pin to the left. Oh, on it that time and nearly made it.
And Dan Brodeur takes the lead back by a pin.
Paul Willitts from Framingham, Massachusetts. He and his wife Leslie have 4 children: Patrick, Lori, Stacy, and Anne Marie. Paul works as a teacher for the town of Holliston. Teaches grade 5 in the Holliston Public Schools, and there's a spare in the 4th. Let's see, grade 5, that would be, what, 10, 11 years
10,
old?
11, yes. That's what I used to teach.
That's right.
5th and 6th
It's a
grade.
little known fact.
Yeah.
That's right. And that was in Western Mass, right?
No, that was in,
up in
New Hampshire.
in New Hampshire?
Yes. Pittsfield, New Hampshire, as a matter
Run
of
into
fact.
any of your former students?
Yes, too many of them now. They make me feel real old. They have their own children now. And
Oh,
it's going to go.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Oh, do you believe that?
I can't believe it. Wow.
Did everything but knock it over.
Hit it too hard.
Yeah, it's true. Dan still can't believe it. He'll get it this time. 56 through 5. Dan's still looking for his first spare of the match, and here he'll have a shot at the high-low jack.
1-7-10, and you can see his body English there. He wants that to freeze up in the head pennant.
Not quite, I don't think.
Yeah.
Looks like it's still a little bit behind the head pin. Let's see what happens here. Oh, yeah, perfect.
Very nicely done. I think he might have made that without the wood.
Boy, that was a great shot. Perfect position on the head pin. That was a terrific shot. I think you're right.
This is on a spare for Paul Willitts. Drops 8, 5, and 8 pins left. Some of his rooters are here saying, "Get out of the way, Wood." I want to give him a clear shot at the 5-7, 5-8, which I think he's going to.
For another spare? No.
He was a little farther left than he wanted to be.
And it's 9.
So with that 8 fill, he regains a lead by 7, but he'll have to put another mark up if he's going to keep that lead, I would think, depending on what Dan does on his spare.
Well, let's see. Paul didn't split that up as much as he was hoping. The 3-4, 6-7. And the 10. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Route 97, Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. Come to Salem and save at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Anything more than 7, Dan will reclaim the lead. Doesn't quite get that, so Paul's going to remain the leader by just a pin.
Probably heard Dan's reaction to that shot. And the 10.
Nice try by Dan.
And the 10 box.
Pair of 10s, 92 through 8. Paul just tripping out that 4-pin. So he's shooting at the 3-6. Much easier than the 3-4-6. Got to hurry. This ball wants to break from right to left, but that time he's a little bit behind himself, so you get behind, you don't put the snap on the ball, so the ball straightens out on you.
Not quite.
Ooh.
Nine it is, and it's dead even after 8 boxes.
Well, it's much too early to scoreboard watch. Remember, the only bowler we have qualified is Bob Kelly, and he is in at 410 for his championship match.
And what a great championship match it was. If you missed it 4 weeks ago, went to overtime.
Oh, that's a great shot. He had to negotiate by that front piece of wood. Just got by it to clear out the 4, 7, and 8 triangle.
Big first ball, and it'll be a 9 drop.
Danny was trying to coax it to fall forward into that 5-pin for the strike, but he'll take the 9. 121 plus the bonus ball.
Like last week, a little late first game thunder. Dan Brodeur. Just 5 on this one. 126. The opening game for Dan Brodeur.
Some 10 pins under his first game of last week against Paul Berger. Big 9 drop for Paul Willitts. The 10 pin.
In this series, we had 2 Dans and 2 Pauls, but they never got a chance to bowl against each other, either the Dans or the Pauls. Oh. Wow, missing the single. You remember that one later.
Quickly, an even match goes to 9 pins in favor of Dan Brodeur. Benefit of that spare 9.
And this time, Paul will have a much more difficult shot, although the wood is helping, maybe.
Might have turned a little too much. Yes, it did.
Oh, no.
Just pushed that wood right into the channel in front of the 10-pin.
So by virtue of those 2 late marks, Dan Brodeur has himself a 15-pin lead after game 1 of the championship match here on Stars and Strikes. We'll be back in a minute. The bonus ball contest once again at the end of the hour, and we are up to $130, looking for our first winner of the new season still, and filling up fast with postcards. So send yours in, please. Make sure they're regulation size postcards only, of course, and send them in with your name, your full address, the number from 1 to 10, the number of pins that you think our winning bowler will drop on the bonus ball at the end of the show, and as always, the mailing address, Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Windham, New Hampshire, 03087. If we draw your card and the number on your card matches the pinfall, then you win what's in the jackpot. But we haven't, it sounds easy, but we haven't done it for a while.
No.
Paul Willitts.
Shoot at the 4 horsemen to the right. Trailing by 15.
Paul's trying to wait this wood out. Might deaden the ball and help him out if...
It might be deep enough. I don't know. Well,
gotta hit the head
out.
down.
Yep. Got a bad break with the head pin going down.
One of those back row shots here. 7, 8, and 9. Thankfully, at least, he has some wood, but whether it will really help or not remains to be seen. Not enough. Even the ball coming back wasn't enough. 9 for Paul.
Wow. That looked like a pretty good ball going into the 1-2 pocket, but he leaves himself the 4, 5, 7, 10, and no wood.
Now it's even worse. Hope you've enjoyed your holiday weekend. Thanks for spending part of it with us here on Stars and Strikes. We do appreciate it, as always. And Dan Brodeur with the near strike. And the spare.
Spare in the second. 14 pins is the lead.
Paul Willitts is in a bit of a full-scale drought here. He's gone 8 boxes without marking. Good first ball that time. I would say the way Dan is going, you don't want to let him go too far away.
No.
Off of 424 last week. He's got 5 marks already this week. Not a very good break for Paul with this wood, and it cost him the spare.
No, you don't want to let the bowler change the focus away from the match onto what score he's going to post.
Right.
Because that's when Katie barred the door. It's just like, how high can I run this score up? Well, right now he's still well within striking distance, not even halfway through the match yet. But as you said, looking for the next mark, and he's going to be a, well, I was going to say, whoa, it's going to be a tough one now. It's going to be a strike.
First strike of the day for Paul.
Good things happen for those who wait. We just had to wait a little while here. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Last 3 to go. That's a rarity. Dan Brodeur now working on a spare. Catches a little bit of the head pin and just 5.
Dan bounced that one a little bit, and he almost got it anyway. It's a 10.
Gets the triangle, or the diamond, I should say, there, and just never quite gets the 10 pin.
Opposite the strike now, Paul Willitts. Tough leave.
Yeah, I want some help with the wood. That should help a little bit, keeping the 5 pin in play. The problem, of course, is the 8 pin in the back. Might want to take a piece of this wood on the right, on the left, I mean. Try to shoot for that hole. No, he's going right at it. Missed the object pin, which was the 2.
That might have been the shot right there, but we'll never know.
Just shook his head like, yeah, I thought so too after he threw it.
$10 for Dan Brodeur. When we come back, Paul Willitts working on a strike as he tries to mount the attack here in Game 2 when we return on Stars and Strikes. Paul Willitts working on a strike and trailing by, at this moment, 19 pins. Soon to drop. Oh, looking for something more to happen, but he'll have a split.
He was fighting to have that ball come back from right to left, and just enough to just catch the head pin, but not an easy spare leaf. 2, 4, and 10. 8 fell on the strike.
Cuts the lead to 11. $8. Paul Willitts making his 4th appearance in singles competition here on Stars and Strikes, his 3rd this year. Looking to make it into the Tournament of Champions for the very first time.
Doesn't waste much time.
Not at all. Recovers from the first ball that got him only 2 pins. Able to work it out for a 10. Have a slight delay here while Cindy Sissom makes a rare appearance down on the lanes to clear a piece of loose wood away. And then Dan Brodeur will be ready to start. Good time to remind you that when you come to Park Place Lanes, whether it be to bowl on your own or to catch a little of our live action here on Stars and Strikes, when you're hungry, you don't have to worry about leaving the building. All you have to do is worry about finding your way over to the Willow Tree North Restaurant, which is located conveniently right inside Park Place Lanes. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, all at reasonable prices. Great food, too. Always service with a smile, and always where the crew eats. $9 for Dan Brodeur. So Paul Willitts is hanging around in this match. It's still just a 12-pin lead here at the halfway point.
Yeah, neither bowler's really putting any kind of an offense up right now.
Dan punches through the heart, can't get a break on the 4-pin. And now looking at this split.
Oof. Tried to cut the 3 over into the 4-7.
and going for 2 here to get the 9 box, which he does. The lead now down to 11.
Either bowler kind of splitting them up right now.
Oh, nice 10.
That's what he wanted to do, the second ball.
The 3-4. Just like that. Almost cut it too much. Right in front of the 4-pin. A little light, looking for a little help. Not much there. 5, 7, 9, and 10 with Wood.
I'm just going to play the 5-pin and hope. Need some help on the 7. So he'll be open again. Both bowlers only 1 mark. Strike on Paul Willitts' side, spare on Dan Brodeur's side this game. So a bowler can put 2 or 3 marks in a row together here. Could take a commanding lead.
Oh, big first ball that time for Dan as he broke up another potential split over in the left corner.
And the last pin to go down, I think, was the 7-pin. Leaves himself to 3-6, but it can't be too high in this wood. It's going to go around the 6-pin.
Got it.
There you go. Sparing the 7th for Dan.
Brooklyn hit, and he drops 9, leaving the 10-pin. Oh, but misses the single. Almost 2 full games into this match, and only 1 time have we seen 2 marks in a row, and that was Dan Brodeur at the end of the first game.
Well, Paul would like to change that right now and put 2 in himself. And he's going to shoot at the 10-pin.
And he's got it. Boy, when you're having trouble marking, having those single pins makes it all the tougher.
Especially the 10-pin.
Oh boy, just got that ball back up to the head pin and carries an 8-fill.
I wouldn't be opposed to shooting right at the hole between the 4-pin and the wood. If you catch the wood, it's good. But you want to avoid that. You almost got it anyways. But by catching some of that wood, you deflect the ball at a different angle. You're less likely to punch out the 4-pin.
113 and a 2-game total of 224 for Paul Willitts. Another solid first ball hit for Dan Brodeur. And the spare. His 7th mark. Paul Willitts with 4 to this point. And will he carry the extra pin again? Not this time.
8 and 10. Let's see where the wood settles down. See what kind of a shot he's going to have.
Better with the wood than without, but how much better? I don't know.
I think you got to take all of the wood. You got 2 pieces to the left, another one right behind in front of the 8-pin. I would want to hit.
Get them all?
Yeah, where they both meet. You got to get the left one off the left side wall, the other one angled that way.
Wow.
You're going to get the 10-pin, and you're not going to get the 8. That was an impossible shot, obviously.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know what else he could have done, but
once again, 2 marks in a row seems to be a pretty tall order in this match. Dan Brodeur with a 118 and a 2-game total of 244. So he has a 20-pin lead with 1 game to decide it here on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. Dan Brodeur will start game 3. He's got a 20-game lead, 20-pin lead. Baseball season's long over.
Yes.
Dan led by 30 going into the final game last week. Oh, he almost made it. Almost cut that over.
So it's only 10-pin difference in the lead, but the scores are certainly a little different.
Yeah, Dan had a 290 last week after 2. Today he's got 244. The one conclusion that we might be able to draw so far is that Bob Kelly's 410 is probably safe unless one of these guys were to really explode. But the way it seems to be going right now, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Look out. Well, a wide open door here for Paul Willitts. Opposite just 16 in the first 2 boxes. Even if he were to just put 1 mark up, he would cut that lead in half at least.
I thought he was going to get a break, but all he did was move the 5-pin off the spot.
Nope. And the 10. But Paul needs marks.
There we go.
Gets a solid first ball this time, and he'll leave himself with the 6-pin. That might have been one of the best ones he's thrown today. Spare in the second.
Oh, you would think our number 1 and number 2 seeds, we'd have more than 2 strikes between them going to the 3rd game, but that's what we got, 1 apiece.
Oh, there's another one. They heard you. All you had to do was ask.
That's right. Is that what you want? You've got it. And a quick strike it is for Dan Brodeur.
A little high this time, but he gets a break on it. A 4-7.
Watch out. Watch out. He wanted to avoid that front piece and caught a piece of it, deflected the ball and the pin.
And again, 2 marks in a row just seems like an impossible task in this match. It's happened only once. Let's see if Paul Willitts can make it 2 marks in a row as he works on a spare, stepping up on lane 32.
And that's just what Paul needs at this point.
Not a great leave. 6. Possibilities here, though. 1, 2, 7, and 8. Yes, right on the object pin, and there are 2 marks in a row. Fine shot.
You see the replay, just splits the 1 and the 2. made for his ball because it's coming back to the left anyways.
That matched the strike put up there by Dan Brodeur, so that's an important mark right there for Paul, and now he's got a chance at another one. If he puts this one up there, the match will be just about even.
Oh,
no.
Wow.
Well, it's going to be a tight match coming down to the finish here. We will take a break with 6 boxes remaining, and Paul Willitts has cut the lead in half. Dan Brodeur with the edge by 10. We're coming right back. Don't go away. Six boxes to go to decide the championship. $500 to the runner-up, $1,000 to the winner. Dan Brodeur pulled that ball.
Just held on to that just a fraction of a second too long, and that'll pull it to the left.
Eight.
All of a sudden, Dan is leaving a lot of pins standing now. 7 pins in 5 boxes. He's in the pocket. 2 choices here. Pin to the left and the 5 pin, or well, one of the choices is just diminished. Now it's going to be just right at the 5 pin. Everything should sweep to the left.
Look out. Wow. Played it in the middle and got it.
Thought he came a little too high there, but it was enough to keep that first piece of wood in play for the 5 pin, and then the other piece took the 4-7.
Come on, us.
Paul Willitts with the 2, 7, and 10.
A makeable shot, but certainly not easy. I'm just going to try to cut the 5 pin on the 2 pin on the left-hand side. My pins and my rights and left squared away here will be fine. A little punchy toward the end of the day, I guess. I don't know. It's just an 8 box though for Paul. Matches Danny's 8, but still 10 pins, anybody's match.
At the end of the day, Dan, but you only work an hour a day. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
You can't. Well, not much of a leave here either. The 1, 7, and 9. Boy. The wood didn't help. Oh, with that spare up in the 6th, Dan Brodeur is going to work on his lead a little bit here. He's got a chance to get it back up to 20 with a big fill.
Still got to get still in this one.
Just got to muster all the concentration you can, because this could be a huge ball. Work on a spare. And he's right in the pocket. He drops 7. He's got the triangle, 2, 4, 5. Trying to make that all inclusive 2 in a row. And it looks no good. No, it's not. It's not in the cards.
Each bowler has made consecutive marks only once in this match. The next guy to do it may win the match.
That's right.
Best 2 out of 3. Oh, Dan was right in the pocket that time. Solid. And leaves the 4 pin.
Uh-oh. Doesn't want this pin coming over. Yeah, I don't know if you at home can hear the crowd. It was, get out of here.
Looks like it's not going to come all the way over.
No. There's room to fit the ball between the pin, dead wood and the pin, though, so you got to make sure you cover that pin.
Look out. Look out.
He was way behind himself. Had no chance as soon as he let the ball go, and I think Dan knew it.
I'll put a little circle around that one. A missed single pin in the 8th. He still leads by 18, but leaving 2 open frames for Paul Willitts here. Paul's going to clean a piece of wood out of lane 31, so he won't have to worry about it later. Now he'll go to work on lane 32. Bob Kelly can rest easy, I would say, for today. 4:10 when he qualified 4 weeks ago. That will still leave him the leader in the clubhouse.
Nice try there, but still nothing to show for it. And drops the lead to 17. Well, I don't have to tell you, he needs a mark here.
In the pocket, and he kicks out the 10-pin.
For a minute, I thought he was going to be looking at the 7-10. Now he's got to watch the wood, because one's rolling way out, and now the other 2 are rolling in behind it. It's not going to be good.
Been that kind of day for both bowlers, hasn't it? Wow.
I don't think he's got enough room to get by either because of the wood being way out in front.
Oh, got it.
You never know with those.
Well, let's see how important that is later on. Each bowler with a chance on a single pin in the 8th with testy wood. Dan missed his, Paul makes his. So we're down to the final 2. Dan Brodeur first, and he'll have a spare leave.
3 and 5. Nope. Hang on, boys and girls. This is a long ways from over. It's a 10.
98 through 9.
Keep in mind, 17 pins. That's 2 big marks. Probably, if you make a mistake on one, 3 marks. Paul has 2 boxes available. Dan 1 now. Dan would like to put a mark up, and he's going to shoot at that triangle, which I don't think anyone's made all day. 2, 4, and 5. Something about this shot makes it so difficult.
Well, there's a clutch spot right there to make it.
Certainly was.
Wow, after missing what could have been 2 spares in a row in the 8th and 9th, Dan Brodeur comes up with a big one in the 10th. 108 plus a ball.
Any sizable fill here, and it's going to be a 3-mark situation for Paul Willitts.
Oh, all of them. Strike on spare in the 10th. And a high 5 from Paul Willitts when he needed it. On the Brooklyn side yet.
362, is that your total?
362 for Dan Brodeur. Which means Paul Willitts has to throw a 138 to tie this match. He needs 2 more marks and a big fill here. Well, he's got that. He can do it with 2 more spares if he has a big fill on this one. And he makes it. 138 would tie the match. And as you can see, a 9 fill, say, here, and then a spare and strike. That would be a 138.
He has to fill with
a big number. And that is not big enough. And that will do it. Dan Brodeur has held on for the win. Dan Brodeur advances to the Tournament of Champions. Paul Willitts will win this final game, but it won't be enough. The 10 for 126 and a 350. Dan Brodeur wins by a dozen. And we'll talk to both bowlers and see if we can't give away some more money in the bonus ball contest after these words. Back we are, and for second place, Paul Willitts, a $500 check. Not the check you wanted, but on the other hand, boy, a terrific roll-off, and Dan got a lead on you a little bit and made it tough at the end.
Yeah, well, it was a good day's pay for me, and I'm happy to be here. I just threw too many 10s, and this is a game of spares.
Well, the good news is more opportunities left in this season. Still.
Right. I'll try again.
All right, Paul. Thanks very much. Congratulations. Good to see you again. And now Dan Brodeur, our latest qualifier for the Tournament of Champions, to try and add some more money to the winnings here, as he'll try and win some money for one of you at home. $130 in the bonus ball contest. But we've got to have a match. And it's got to be a 4, Dan Murphy.
I don't think so.
Okay, we got to work harder at these, you know? You got to just work a little harder. Oh, now, so we had a bad handoff right there, so that was my fault. Thank you, Dan. Mrs. Mary Jarrick from Pelham, New Hampshire. Mary's guess was 7. Sorry, Mary. We'll be going up to $140 next week, and you won't be here, Dan, but you will be here in the spring, so that's good news for you.
I'm pleased with that. I tell you, that was a tough one. I had in the back of my mind what Paul did in the roll-off. I just know what he can. He's an excellent bowler. Just hung on, that's all.
It seemed like 2 marks in a row was really a challenge in this match today.
Oh, is it? Can you do that in this game? I didn't know that today. No, I'm pleased. My hat's off to Paul again for his roll-off score. He pulled terrific.
Well, congratulations to you as well. You bowled a big 424 to get here last week, and now the reward, a $1,000 check.
Thank you.
And we will see you in the spring.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Dan, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Safely into the Tournament of Champions along with Bob Kelly, and that means that we now have just 4 spots open. Bob Kelly's still the #1 qualifier, but 4 guys still to go. Dan Brodeur makes a return appearance to the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, so we got 2 bowlers that's been there before, and both of them have been looking for the win, but we need 4 more.
All right, we'll be back with 5 more, 5 new bowlers next week as we start a brand new series here on Stars and Strikes. And of course, the bonus ball contest keeps growing as well. We'll be up to $140. Don't forget Candlepin Skins next Saturday at noon from Londonderry. And then we're back here next Sunday at noon. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a great week, everybody.